Hi everyone. Well, here's the latest news about the subpoena to the Redditor, Darkspilver, who Watchtower were trying to unmask, and we know what that means. It's a mixture of victory and loss, with the judge ruling, quote, that she grants in part and denies in part. At the end of this as well, I'll be linking you to a legal channel, a legal YouTube channel that goes in detail through the judge's findings for those of you that are interested. So you can see that the person has been deemed to be able to remain anonymous, but as we know, Watchtower are definitely trying to use these copyright excuses to unmask the people who are posting anonymously. So they've still got this threat of their family, losing their family, hanging over them because Darkspilver was brought up a J-dub and is still a J-dub, and of course you know the consequences if they're unmasked. So what she's done is the judges decided that they're calling Darkspilver he for the purposes of this, can remain anonymous, but because of future copywriting problems, which still have to be tested out, although the judge made it very clear that she thought that it was a very tenuous claim. It's for attorney eyes only. So, you know, ostensibly that seems good, attorney's eyes only, but we know the lawyer, Polidoro, he's the guy that's in my subpoena. Now, he actually works in Watchtower buildings. He works at Patterson. That's where his office is. That's where the Watchtower legal team is, in the Jehovah's Witness building. How is that going to remain anonymous? Let's have a look through this first, and then we'll go into some of the issues. First Amendment protects the right to anonymous speech. Now, the Redditor isn't a resident of the United States, but because the companies involved, that is Reddit and Watchtower, based in the United States, it applies. And very interestingly, the judge says the First Amendment, can you see that there, protects the audience as well as the speaker. So this right to speak out is important for readers and listeners. Okay. Reddit themselves had sided, good for them, with Darkspilver, and that's in their interest because they want Reddit to keep lively and people keep speaking out. And they're not going to be able to do that if everyone's, anyone could get exposed when they need to be quiet. So the Electronic Frontier Foundation were representing Darkspilver. So the attorney Alex Moss, this is an important victory for the rights of users everywhere to share and receive anonymous speech online. But she said neither her organisation nor her client was happy with Kim's decision to disclose Darkspilver's name to lawyers for the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, along with an order that they keep the name confidential. Unless the magistrate approves the disclosure to anyone else. There is no guarantee of secrecy, Moss said, and they are considering further action to shield the client's identity. She contended that the copyright suit was merely a pretext for unmasking a critic. Lawyers for Watchtower, a company affiliated with Jehovah's Witnesses, that's one way of putting it, could not be reached for comment. Oh, what a surprise. They're such cowards. And there's pretty much what you've been saying. And the reason for the postings. The things that Watchtower said they were losing by having their donations advert on the back of one of their magazines put online. Oh, it really cost them. It's like, behave yourselves, lads. Behave yourselves. But the magazine ad was, it says, remained subject of fair use. Hello. And Darkspilver did use it for non-commercial purpose. Hello. On the other hand, Kim said, Watchtower's copyright case is not entirely baseless. It's fragile, though. It's fragile. And as it continues, any harm to Darkspilver would be alleviated if the poster's identity was disclosed to the company's lawyers under an attorney's eyes only restriction. Well, let's just have a look at that. Here I am on Watchtower's online library. You see the Watchtower symbol with its little TM, meaning trademark. Did you ever think you'd see the day, eh? Anyway, I'm grateful to one of the Redditors who noted this article. This is from Watchtower September, one of the September Watchtowers of 1987. Now, we know how many times was it rammed into your head that if you have God's laws and you have Caesar's laws, now if they contradict each other, whose law must you follow, no matter what the consequence? Yep, that's right. You've got to follow divine law. So Polydoro now is put in a position. If he did disclose Darkspilver's real identity, then the fines for him, I mean, the consequences are very bad for him as a professional lawyer. Could even mean imprisonment. Okay, so it's very serious, but Caesar, God's law says he shouldn't keep quiet because there is an apostate. Ooh, there is an apostate in a congregation. Ooh, somewhere. So what's he going to do? So let's see what Watchtower is telling him to do. A time to speak. When? Now this they say at the end this is a made up story, which is unusual for them to actually admit it's a made up story. It's set as an example. But have a look at this. Mary, in quotes, works as a medical assistant at a hospital. She has to keep confidentiality, documents information, etc. But one day she faced a dilemma in processing medical records. How's this for nosy? She came upon information indicating that a patient, a fellow Christian, had submitted to an abortion. Did she have a scriptural responsibility to expose this information to elders in the congregation, even though it might lead to her losing her job, to her being sued, or to her employers having legal problems? Or would Proverbs 11:13 justify keeping the matter concealed? This reads, the one walking about as a slanderer is uncovering confidential talk, but the one faithful in spirit is covering over a matter. Situations like this, Polydoro, are faced by Jehovah's Witnesses and Polydoro from time to time. Like Mary, they become acutely aware of what King Solomon observed. For everything there is an appointed time, blah, blah, blah. Was this the time for Mary to keep quiet, or was it the time to speak about what she had learned, Polydoro? Circumstances can vary greatly, hence it would be impossible to set forth a standard procedure to be followed in every case, and also that stops them Watchtower getting sued. If ever faced with a situation of this nature, Polydoro must be prepared to weigh all the factors involved and reach a decision that takes into consideration Bible principles as well as any legal implications that will leave him or her with a clear conscience, Polydoro, before Jehovah. When sins are minor and due to human imperfection, the principle applies. Love covers a multitude of sins. But when there seems to be a serious wrongdoing, should a loyal Christian, out of love of God and his fellow Christian, reveal what he knows, so that the apparent sinner can receive help and the congregation's purity be preserved? So look, now we know that apostasy is regarded by Watchtower as being the lowest of the lowest of the low of the low of the low of the low of the low. Apparently it's a grievance against the Holy Spirit. Well, Russell and Rutherford and the rest, and the current writers, some of them writers should know about that. So, what should Polydoro do? So anyone committing serious wrongdoing should not try to conceal it. Nothing escapes the notice of Jehovah, hence all these abuse cases now coming to light. Hidden transgressions must eventually be accounted for, hence all the abuse cases now coming to light. Well, at least some of them, not all of them. For some it's too late. At times, Jehovah brings concealed wrongdoing to the attention of a member of the congregation, or to the media, or to the law courts, that this might be given proper attention. So, now in case the soul sins, they're quoting Leviticus 5:1, in that he has heard public cursing, and he is a witness, or has seen it, or has come to know of it, if he does not report it, then he, Polydoro, must answer for his error, Polydoro. This public cursing was not profanity or blasphemy. Rather, it often occurred when someone who had been wrong demanded that any potential witnesses help him to get justice while calling down curses. Likely from Jehovah on the one, perhaps not yet identified, who had wronged him. It was a form of putting others under oath. Any witnesses of the wrong would know who had suffered an injustice and would have a responsibility to come forward to establish guilt. Otherwise, they would have to answer for their error before Jehovah. Polydoro, you're in trouble now, aren't you? Command from the highest level authority of the universe put the responsibility upon each Israelite to report to the judges any serious wrongdoing that he observed, so the matter might be handled. While Christians are not strictly under Mosaic law, its principles still apply in the Christian congregation. Hence, there may be times when a Christian is obligated to bring a matter to the attention of the elders. True, it is illegal in many countries to disclose to unauthorized ones what is found in private records. But what should you do even if it is illegal, Polydora? But if a Christian feels, after prayerful consideration, that he is facing a situation where the law of God required him to report what he knew, despite the demands of less authorities, then that is a responsibility he accepts before Jehovah. And there we go with Acts 5:29, that they must obey God as ruler rather than men. And all this does mean, of course, that the worrisome thing is that Darkspilver really has no guarantee that his identity is going to be kept secret. Really? Does anyone really believe that? While oaths or solemn promises should never get taken lightly, there may be times when promises required by men are in conflict with the requirement that we render exclusive devotion to our God. When someone commits a serious sin, he in fact comes under the public curse from the wronged one, Jehovah God. All who become part of the Christian congregation put themselves under oath to keep the congregation clean, both by what they do personally and by the way they may help others and to remain clean. So please do snitch. So, what did Mary do? What did Mary do? Polydora, here's an example for you. Mary did have other significant information rather than just the records, because this sister had paid the bill. So, in that way, acknowledged that she'd received the abortion. Also, she knew personally that the sister was single, thus raising the possibility of fornication. It's probably a connection there. If you're in a congregation and you become pregnant while single, you're going to go through hell, aren't you? You're just going to go through hell. So maybe that's one of the things that pushed her into having an abortion. How could this justifying a snitch? Mary felt a desire lovingly to help one who may have erred and to protect the cleanness of Jehovah's organization. Well, if you're going to do that, there's loads of people who are going to have to be chucked out. If you want to keep it clean. Hello? I mean, and I'm talking the higher ups. I'm talking about people who lie under oath, people like that. Yeah, hello. Oh, I got annoyed again, didn't I? A true witness. A true witness is delivering souls, but a deceitful one launches forth mere lies. I don't think that's applicable. Mary was somewhat apprehensive about the legal aspects, take note, Polydoro, but felt that in this situation Bible principles should carry more weight than the requirement that she protect the privacy of the medical records. Surely the sister would not want to become resentful and try to retaliate by making trouble for her, she reasoned. So when Mary analysed all the facts available to her, Google thing. I don't know. To whom should she speak? Oh, sorry. The facts. Blah, blah. She decided conscientiously that this was a time to speak. Oh, snitch. Not to keep quiet. Oh, my goodness. Now Mary faced an additional question. To whom should she speak? Oh, no prizes for guessing. And how could she do so discreetly? She could go directly to the elders, but she decided to go first privately to the sister. This was a loving approach. Mary reasoned that this one, under some suspicion, might welcome the opportunity to clarify matters, or if guilty, confirm the suspicion. If the sister had already spoken to the elders about the matter, likely she would say so. Mary would not need to pursue matters further. Mary reasoned that if the sister, goes on. If the sister had submitted to an abortion and had not confessed to the serious transgression of God's law, she would encourage her to do this. Encourage with the toe of her boot. Then the elders could help her in accord with James 5:13-20. Happily, this is how matters worked out. Mary found that the sister had submitted to an abortion under much pressure and because of being spiritually weak. Shame and fear had moved her to conceal her sin. But she was glad to get help from the elders towards spiritual recovery. Well, now we know what really happens inside. So yeah, she snitched on her. So I'm thinking Polidoro now has a choice. He can be a good lawyer or a good JW. And really, it's laid out. If he wants to be a good JW, then he should snitch. If he wants to be a good lawyer, then he has to keep quiet and guard that name with his life. So what are you, Polidoro? Are you a good lawyer? Or are you a good JW? Because you can't serve both God and man. I'm going to link you to the real long, proper, in-depth look at it. But there was one phrase. There was one phrase in there that I loved so much, just because of my own personal thing now with this Polidoro chappie. Well, this made me laugh. So, Leonard French, do not sue me for copyright infringement, but I've just got to have the world's biggest chuckle at this. Thank you for making me happy. So Leonard French gives his take on it. He did a live stream, nearly an hour's live stream. I do recommend it. You see, his heading is from his professional perspective, is very positive. Judge Kneecaps Watchtower subpoena to Reddit. But there's a bit here, it's music to my ears, and you have to hear it.
If you're not an attorney of record, you can't have the name. Now, does this mean that is this a physical barrier? No, this is not a physical barrier. This is not any sort of this is an honesty barrier. This is a trust system. However, Attorney Polidoro is a licensed attorney. He would be putting his career on the line. He would be sanctioned, he'd be held in contempt, and you'd bet that the case would be cited every time.
This is talking about if Polidoro were to release Darkspilver's name.
That a judge went out on a limb like this for a plaintiff organization that seemed to be misusing copyright like this in order to identify a mole. So that's what seems to be going on here. They seem to be using an allegation of copyright infringement, a very thin, tenuous allegation of copyright infringement, to uncover a mole or person who's leaking confidential information. That's not what copyright's supposed to be used for. Copyright is to promote the sciences and the useful arts by securing to their authors for certain periods of time the exclusive right to certain rights. We call them the copyrights, to distribute, to publish, to display, to perform, to create derivatives, to control derivatives, etc. That's the incentive of copyright, not to find moles. Nowhere in there is copyright's purpose to find leaks of information within your organization. That's clever that you're trying to use it that way. I'll give it marks for clever, but not for ethics and professionalism, Attorney Polidoro.
Yeah! Not for ethics. You're saying you're a clever chap, but ethically, no. No. Professionally, no. Oh, that was like being kneed in the groin, surely. I love it. Sorry, the Polidoro, I mean, really.
That's clever that you're trying to use it that way. I'll give it marks for clever, but not for ethics and professionalism, Attorney Polidoro. I'll give it marks for clever, but not for ethics and professionalism, Attorney Polidoro.